Just a couple of weeks before Hal Williams passed away, he and his television wife of nearly 40 years shared one more phone call. They laughed. They carried on the way they always did. And, as they'd done since the mid-1980s, they called each other by the names the world knew them by best: Mary and Lester. Neither of them knew it would be their final conversation. Now, 95-year-old Marla Gibbs has shared a deeply personal tribute to her longtime friend and on-screen husband, and it reveals a friendship that ran far deeper and started much earlier than most fans ever realized. A friendship that started before the cameras rolled. Hal Williams passed away on Wednesday, 15th July 2026, at his home in Rancho Mirage, California, at the age of 91. He was best known to television audiences as Officer Smitty on Sanford and Son, and as Lester Jenkins, the steady husband of Marla Gibbs' character Mary on the NBC sitcom 227. But according to Gibbs herself, her bond with Hal began long before either of them ever stepped onto that famous soundstage. She revealed that their journey together started at her own Crossroads Theater, in the original stage production that would eventually become 227. Hal was part of that early production, and Gibbs credits her daughter Angela and Angela's partner, Shay Wafer, with producing the play at the time. What stood out most, in Gibbs' recollection, wasn't Hal's talent alone, it was his willingness to quietly show up and help. She described how he'd go out of his way to secure donated theater seats and even help organize the seating chart, simply because he believed in supporting young artists trying to find their footing. The fight that built a television family. When the stage production made its way to television, there was actually a real risk that Hal's character wouldn't exist at all. Network executives had initially wanted Gibbs's character, Mary, to be single, with Lester written out of the picture entirely. Gibbs refused. She fought to make sure her character had a husband, insisting on a portrayal that reflected a stable, loving Black family rather than leaning into a more familiar, harder narrative that television so often reached for at the time. It's a decision that, in hindsight, shaped the entire legacy of the show. Alongside a young Regina King, who played their daughter Brenda, Hal, Marla, and Regina became a television family that portrayed love, strength, and stability across 5 full seasons and 116 episodes from 1985 to 1990. A friendship that never stopped that friendship, by Gibbs's own account. Never faded once the cameras stopped rolling. She's revealed that Hal never stopped checking in on her, long after 227 ended its run in 1990. The two stayed close for decades, still finding humor in the same easy way they had on set, and still, even after all those years, greeting each other with the names Mary and Lester rather than their own. Their final conversation, just a couple of weeks before Hal's passing, was no different. They talked, they laughed, they carried on exactly as they always had. It's a small detail, but a telling one. A friendship so natural and enduring that neither of them treated that call as anything other than an ordinary catch-up between two old friends. A generous man, remembered with gratitude in her tribute, shared publicly on Instagram, Gibbs called this loss a difficult one, coming as part of a string of goodbyes she's had to face in recent years. But threaded through her words was clear gratitude for Hal's kindness, for his friendship, and for the joy he brought to so many lives across his decades in the industry. She wasn't alone in remembering him. Fellow 227 co-star Jack Harry also paid tribute following his passing, joining a wider outpouring of affection from fans and colleagues who remembered Hal not just for his television roles, but for the warmth and generosity he carried off screen as well. What Marla Gibbs's tribute really reveals is a friendship that outlasted the show that made them both famous, one that began quietly in a small theater years before television ever came calling and endured for nearly 4 decades afterwards. Two friends who kept laughing together, kept checking in on each other, and, right up until their very last phone call, never stopped being Mary and Lester to one another. That's the kind of legacy no award or tribute can fully capture. A friendship this genuine simply speaks for itself.